Hey everybody, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com and welcome to Recording Month. So we just finished a month worth of tips, tricks, workflow on how to actually write great music. I want you to be able to create great songs because great recordings start with great songs. But starting today and for the rest of this month, I've got only recording related tips, tricks, tutorials, and stuff for you because I want to help you get the most out of your recordings in the studio. We don't want to fix stuff in the mix. We want great sounding tracks to start with. All of this starts with what I think is proper microphone technique. And what I want to talk about today are the 4 ways to use your microphones in the studio. 4 ways to get the most out of your microphones. If you have 1 microphone, this will help you. If you have 2 or 20, this will help you. Real good engineers know that a microphone is more than just something that picks up audio. If you understand how it can be used, you can wield it as a weapon to get exactly the tone you're looking for. Now, of course, different microphones sound different, and that can be helpful tools. So if you have 2 or 3 microphones that sound very different, then use those and pick the right one for the instrument, the one that sounds the best on your voice that day or your guitar or whatever. But I'm going to talk to you as if you only had 1 microphone so that this will apply to all people everywhere. So I got a microphone here. This is a cardioid pattern microphone. If you don't know what that means, all it means is that it's going to pick up sound on one side, okay, on the front. Some microphones pick up sound on both the front and the back. Some microphones pick up sound all around, but we're going to assume that you have a standard, whether it's a condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone, but a cardioid pickup pattern, which is pretty common. So it's got one side to pick up sound. The 4 ways that you want to wield your microphone that you need to keep in mind are this. We'll start with angle because that one can totally blow your mind. You think you got a microphone and you've got a vocal or an acoustic guitar or a snare drum or whatever, guitar amp, and the best way to record that is to just put the mic in front of the thing you want to record. And that would be a great place to start. Don't overcomplicate recording. We're not that smart as engineers. We just know what good music sounds like. So sure, start right there. Put it in front of your guitar amp, put it in front of your face, put it in front of your snare drum. The thing is that you can dramatically change the sound of your guitar amp, your vocal, your snare drum, simply by changing the angle of the microphone. So if the microphone sees it dead on, it's going to hear things one way. If it sees it at a 45-degree angle, it's going to hear things another way, and vice versa. The beauty of this is, if sound hits it straight on or at an angle, different frequencies are emphasized, and it's like a built-in EQ. If you don't have a channel strip, if you don't have a console with an EQ, you've got an EQ built into your microphone. It's called turn the microphone. When you've got a mic on a tom, right? And you've got the tom drum head right here and the mic's at an angle here. If it's pointed to the center of the tom, it's going to have way more punch and attack than if you angle it to like the rim of the tom. You might get some more tone, but not as much punch. You angle the microphone to different elements of the instrument, that changes the tone as well. So it's still straight on, but now you're pointing it at a different area of the instrument. It's the same with guitar amps. A lot of times I find if a mic is on a guitar amp and it's right on the center of the cone, if the guitar amp is too bright, too harsh, you could either angle this bad boy or move it off axis a little bit so it's pointed at maybe the edge of the cone. You get a totally different frequency response. So your first most powerful thing to think about with microphones is this, is don't ever settle for that first place you put the microphone. Change the angle if you need to, that'll change the tone, or change where on the instrument you're placing it, that'll change the tone as well. That's how you get an EQ tweak built into a simple microphone. The second thing you need to be aware of with microphones is you can totally increase the bass response, not just with angle, not just with area of the microphone, but with distance. Okay, because most microphones, again, are cardioid in nature, in their polar pattern, or you can flip it to cardioid. If that is the case, which a lot of your microphones probably are, there is something called the proximity effect. And what happens is just a natural effect. The closer you get to the sound source, the more bass response the microphone hears. Think about the way guys use this for a movie trailer and you've got that deep booming voice and you're talking about this latest movie and all the action. Those guys' voices sound humongous, okay? Part of it is because their voices sound humongous. So if you want a huge sounding voice, get someone with a huge sounding voice. The other thing they do is then they take their microphone and they slam it right up in their grill, because that builds up more bass response. It makes them sound beefier, have more low end. It's just a trick. So knowing that that's just a physical response that happens with cardioid microphones, take advantage of it if you need it. Angle can change, it can remove the high end, it can bring more high end, it can tone things up. Distance can totally give you more beef, or if there's too much low end, like on an acoustic guitar, a lot of people put that mic right on the acoustic guitar sound hole. It's too bottom endy, it's too beefy, it's not going to work in most mixes. Back the microphone away and you get a much more natural bass response. So angle and proximity effect make a huge difference to the tone of what your microphone hears. The third thing that most people never take advantage of is the back of the microphone. Okay, so remember, we're talking about a cardioid microphone. So the front, that's where it's going to pick up sound. The back, it rejects most sound, if not all. That is very helpful to know. So when I'm recording stuff, I'm in a very typical project studio. It's built out of my home. It's not really soundproofed perfectly. There's guys that mow their yard down the street and I can hear it. It's a noisy environment as opposed to the studios that I've worked in that are perfectly quiet. So if that's you, then you're going to love this tip. The back of the microphone is your best friend. You want to place the microphone where it sounds best, where the front of it sounds best, but at the same time you want to take advantage of the back because that's where it's going to reject the most sound. So if you have a very reflective surface, put the back of the microphone against that surface. If you have a noisy computer fan that you just can't do anything about, put the back of the microphone to that noisy computer fan. Wherever you have too much noise, put the back of the microphone because that's going to reject that noise the most. Think about that. Hopefully that'll unlock some ideas for you. Whatever you don't want to hear, put the back of the microphone towards that. If you have a door and people might be talking outside that door, that's where the back of the microphone should be, and sing your vocals in that way towards the sound because the back is going to reject that sound the most. It's a simple technique built into your microphone, but it affects where the microphone ends up and it'll help you get a cleaner and better recording. The fourth thing you need to understand about microphones that will totally help you get a better technique is the room that the microphone is in and what the microphone hears. Microphones don't have brains. What does that mean? Well, it means you and I have this amazing thing called a brain, and so we might be in a room and we could hear somebody talking or somebody playing a guitar or a guitar amp, and our ears have brains attached to them, and so they allow us to do something that microphones can't do, which is to focus in on a sound. So if you hear someone playing guitar in your room, your brain tells your ears to just pay attention to that guitar. Don't pay attention to the reflections slapping around the room as much. Don't pay attention to some weird bass build up in the corner. Just hear the acoustic guitar and enjoy it. That's an amazing, amazing tool that we have. Microphones are not that smart. They literally only hear any sound wave that hits it. That's why you put up a microphone on something, it doesn't sound like what you hear in the room a lot of times because it can't focus. And so you have to do more work to get the microphone to hear things the way you hear them. That's why recording is harder than it looks. Fortunately, it's not that complex. It just takes a little bit of extra thought. So you might put up this microphone in your room and all of a sudden you're hearing a lot of reverberation in your room when you listen back to the recorded track. And that's because that's just the way your room sounds. Acoustic treatment, blankets on the walls, more furniture soaking up sound, all of that can help. My point really isn't about how to tune your room necessarily. We talked about that already on the blog before. My point is more of to keep in mind that your mic is going to hear that. So maybe you just want to put yourself in a different part of the room and see if that changes the room sound. Or take yourself out of your room into a different room entirely. Or set up some makeshift stuff or a little portable vocal booth or sing in your closet, because whatever room your microphone is in totally changes the sound that the microphone hears, because again, this won't focus, it's just going to hear everything, so help the microphone out. Take into consideration the room sound while you're recording. You might not be able to change everything, I get that, but at least take it into consideration and you'll be able to have more control and more intentionality with where you put the microphone, which will affect your recordings. 4 things that you need to think about at all times when you're miking it up. And the pros do this without thinking, right? It's ingrained in them. So they're thinking about microphone, sound source, is it the right angle? Can I move it around so it's changing the frequency response and the tone? What about distance? Will that give me more or less bass end, right? Low end. Top end can be angle, mid-range angle. close or far can be a bass response. The back of the microphone, what do I need to reject? You see this a lot of times when we're miking up drum kits. We try to put snare mics, not only so it mics up the snare perfectly, but so the back of the snare mic points to the hi-hat. That's very, very important to reject the hi-hat sound so there's not a lot of hi-hat bleed in the snare mic. So they're always thinking about the back of the mic, and then of course we're thinking about the room that the mic is in, and what does that room sound like, because all of that sound gets stuck in the same microphone and you get it in your recording, for better or for worse. So as we go through this month and we're looking at specific tips, and as you're recording your tracks, whether now for the stuff you just wrote or for any project in the future, any microphone you have, any microphone at all, that's cardioid is going to have those 4 things to take into consideration. And you can totally get a much bigger sound, better sound, more accurate sound out of your mics if you just keep those 4 things in mind when you record. Hope that helps. Again, this is Graham from therecordingrevolution.com. Make sure you are subscribed here on Twitter, Facebook, definitely here on YouTube. And if you want to get even more tips, join the newsletter, get the free ebook, click on the link, get the ebook now, because I'm telling you, I send more tips to your inbox that I don't put on YouTube, that I don't put on the blog, and it'll only really help you. So it's all free, it's all there for you. Get signed up, and most importantly, go make some great music. I'm going to be doing some drums this week. I'm looking forward to it. Stay in touch. We'll talk to you soon.